Welcome to the world of science fiction. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. Enjoy the listening. Jeremy stared blankly at his computer screen, the monotonous hum of the office fading into white noise. Another mind-numbing day at Stellar Corp, processing interplanetary trade permits. He sighed, rubbing his tired eyes. "Hey, Earth to Jeremy." His co-worker Mike's voice snapped him back to reality. "You coming to grab lunch?" Jeremy shook his head. "Nah, brought a sandwich today. Trying to save up, you know?" Mike shrugged. "Suit yourself. Oh, by the way, we're doing the office lottery pool again. You in?" Jeremy hesitated. He'd sworn off gambling after losing a month's rent on a bad bet last year. But something made him pause. "You know what? Yeah, put me down for a ticket." Little did Jeremy know that impulsive decision would change his life forever. 2 weeks later, Jeremy sat in stunned silence as the lottery commissioner explained his winnings. His mind reeled, trying to process the enormous figures. "And lastly, Mr. Thompson, in addition to the monetary prize, you've also won our grand special, a 1-year contract for service from 2 Xenosian companions." Jeremy blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" The commissioner beamed. "2 Xenosian maids, straight from the planet Xenos. They'll arrive next week to begin their service." Jeremy's head spun. Alien maids? What was he supposed to do with alien maids? The next week passed in a blur. Jeremy quit his job, moved into a penthouse, and tried to wrap his head around his new reality. When the day arrived for his Xenosian maids to show up, he paced nervously in his living room. A soft chime announced their arrival. Jeremy took a deep breath and opened the door. His jaw dropped. 2 stunningly beautiful women stood before him, their skin a mesmerizing shade of blue. One had flowing pink hair, the other deep azure locks. Their figures were flawless, curves in all the right places accentuated by form-fitting uniforms. "Greetings, Master Jeremy," the pink-haired one said with a slight bow. "I am Sani." "And I am Lola," added the blue-haired beauty. "We are here to serve you." Jeremy gaped, struggling to find words. Hi, come in?" The women glided into the apartment with otherworldly grace. Jeremy couldn't stop staring. "Your abode is most pleasing," Sani remarked, looking around. "Where shall we store our belongings?" "Oh, right this way," Jeremy stammered, leading them to the guest rooms. As they walked, he couldn't help but notice the sway of their hips, the elegant lines of their blue skin. Once the Xenosians were settled, Jeremy retreated to the kitchen, desperate for a moment to collect himself. He gripped the counter, heart racing. What had he gotten himself into? "Master Jeremy?" Lola's melodic voice made him jump. She stood in the doorway, head tilted curiously. "Is everything all right? Your heart rate seems elevated." Jeremy's eyes widened. "You can tell that?" Lola nodded. "Xenosians have empathic abilities. We can sense strong emotions and physical responses." "Great," Jeremy muttered. Just what he needed. Alien maids who could read his feelings. Over the next few days, Jeremy struggled to adjust to his new lifestyle. Sani and Lola were efficient and attentive, anticipating his needs before he even voiced them. But their constant presence was unsettling. One morning, Jeremy stumbled bleary-eyed into the kitchen, desperate for coffee. He froze in the doorway. Sani stood at the counter, her back to him, humming softly as she prepared breakfast. Her uniform hugged her curves, leaving little to the imagination. Jeremy's mouth went dry. He must have made a sound because Sani turned, gifting him with a dazzling smile. "Good morning, Master Jeremy. I sensed you were about to wake, so I started your coffee." Thanks," Jeremy managed, quickly averting his gaze. Sani glided over, pressing a steaming mug into his hands. Her fingers brushed his, sending a jolt through his body. "I hope you slept well?" Jeremy nodded mutely, taking a large gulp of coffee to hide his flushed face. Later that day, Jeremy decided to take a shower, hoping to clear his head. He had just stepped under the hot spray when the bathroom door opened. "Master Jeremy," Lola's voice called out, "I've brought fresh towels." Jeremy yelped, nearly slipping on the wet tile. "Lola, I'm in here." "Oh!" She sounded surprised but made no move to leave. "My apologies. Shall I wait until you're finished?" "Yes, please," Jeremy squeaked, face burning as he imagined Lola's perfect form just on the other side of the curtain. That night, Jeremy tossed and turned, unable to sleep. His mind kept replaying every interaction with Sonny and Lola, analyzing their words and actions. Were they just being polite, or was there something more? A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. "Master Jeremy?" Sonny's voice drifted through the door. "May we enter?" Confused, Jeremy sat up. Sure?" The door opened, revealing both Sonny and Lola in silky nightgowns that left little to the imagination. Jeremy's eyes bulged. "We sensed your restlessness," Lola explained, gliding towards the bed. "On Xenos, it is customary for companions to provide comfort during sleepless nights." Before Jeremy could protest, both women had slipped under the covers on either side of him, their cool skin pressed against his, making him shiver. "Is this not agreeable?" Sonny asked, her breath tickling his ear. Jeremy swallowed hard. "It's, different." Lola's hand trailed down his arm. "We can leave if you prefer." "No," Jeremy said quickly, then winced at his eagerness. "I mean, it's fine, if it's, custom and all." The women snuggled closer, their bodies molding to his. Jeremy lay rigid, hardly daring to breathe. This had to be a dream, right? As the days passed, Jeremy found himself growing more comfortable with Sonny and Lola's presence. Their alien quirks became endearing rather than unsettling. He even started to enjoy their flirtatious behavior, though he still questioned their motives. One evening, Jeremy returned home to find Sonny and Lola engrossed in a heated discussion in their native language. They fell silent as soon as they noticed him. "Is everything okay?" he asked, frowning at their guilty expressions. "Of course, Master Jeremy," Lola said smoothly. "We were simply discussing Xenosian customs." Jeremy's eyes narrowed. "You're not telling me something." Sonny and Lola exchanged a look. "It is complicated," Sonny admitted. "There are aspects of our service that we are not permitted to discuss." Jeremy's stomach churned. What weren't they telling him? Before he could press further, his phone rang. It was Mike from his old job. "Jeremy, man, you gotta be careful." Mike's worried voice crackled through the speaker. "People are talking. They're saying those alien chicks are manipulating you, using their freaky mind powers or something." Jeremy's blood ran cold. He glanced at Sanny and Lola, who watched him with unreadable expressions. "Thanks for the heads up," he said numbly, ending the call. As he turned to face the Xenosians, Jeremy realized his comfortable new life was about to get a lot more complicated. Jeremy stared into the crackling flames, swirling an amber liquid in a crystal tumbler. The fire's warmth couldn't chase away the chill of doubt that had settled in his chest. He took another swig, savoring the burn of the most expensive whiskey he'd ever owned. Rich beyond his wildest dreams, with two incredibly attractive alien maids at his beck and call. So why did he feel so unsettled? He drained his glass, pouring another generous measure. The alcohol emboldened him. It was time to get some answers. "Sonny! Lola!" he called out, voice echoing through the penthouse. Within moments they appeared, as if materializing from thin air. Their skin glowed an ethereal blue in the firelight, form-fitting uniforms accentuating every curve. Jeremy straightened, attempting to project an air of authority. "We need to talk." Sani tilted her head, pink hair cascading over one shoulder. Is something troubling you, Master Jeremy? He opened his mouth to respond, but Sani was suddenly behind him, cool hands kneading his shoulders. You're so tense, she murmured. Allow me to help you relax. Jeremy's eyes fluttered closed for a moment, then snapped open. No, I need to— Oh my! Lola's voice interrupted. She bent over the coffee table directly in front of Jeremy, feather duster in hand. How careless of me to let dust accumulate here. Jeremy's words died in his throat as Lola's lithe form stretched before him, the hem of her skirt riding dangerously high. He could have sworn she was moving far more deliberately than necessary. He stammered, train of thought derailing. Sani's fingers worked magic on his neck, melting away the tension. Lola straightened, fixing him with a smoldering gaze. Is there anything else we can do for you tonight, Master Jeremy? She purred. Any thoughts of serious conversation evaporated like mist. Jeremy's resolve crumbled. I think I need to lie down, he managed. Sani's hand slid down his arms. Allow us to escort you to bed. The next morning, Jeremy woke with a pounding headache and hazy memories of the night before. Flashes of blue skin, gentle caresses, and whispered words in an alien tongue. He groaned, burying his face in the pillow. Good morning, Master Jeremy. Lola's melodic voice cut through his fog. She stood by the bed, a glass of water and 2 pills in hand. I anticipated you might require these. Jeremy sat up gingerly, accepting the offering. Thanks, he mumbled, avoiding her gaze. As he swallowed the pills, a troubling thought surfaced. Had he imagined their conversation last night, or had the Zenosian skillfully deflected his questions? Lola perched on the edge of the bed, concern etched on her delicate features. Is something bothering you? Your emotional state seems turbulent. Jeremy sighed. No point in hiding it now. Look, I need to know what's really going on here. Why are you two really here? What aren't you telling me? Lola's expression flickered, a momentary crack in her serene facade. Master Jeremy, A sharp knock at the front door cut her off. Jeremy frowned. Who could that be? I'll get it, Sani called from the other room. Jeremy scrambled out of bed, throwing on a robe. He padded down the hallway, curiosity overriding his hangover. Sani stood in the doorway, conversing with a stern-looking man in a dark suit. Jeremy caught snippets of their conversation. Routine check. Potential security risk. Monitoring the situation. The man's eyes locked onto Jeremy as he approached. Ah, Mr. Thompson. Agent Bricks, Extraterrestrial Affairs Bureau. Mind if I come in? We need to have a chat. Jeremy's stomach dropped. He nodded mutely, gesturing for the agent to enter. As they settled in the living room, Jeremy couldn't help but notice how Sani and Lola positioned themselves protectively on either side of him. Agent Bricks's eyes narrowed at the display. Mr. Thompson, he began, voice clipped, are you aware of the potential dangers posed by unregulated alien presence on Earth? Jeremy blinked. Dangers? Sani and Lola haven't— With all due respect, sir, Bricks cut him off. You can't know that for certain. Zenosians possess highly advanced empathic and telepathic abilities. They could be influencing you without your knowledge. Sani stiffened beside him. That is not our way, she said, a hint of steel in her usually melodious voice. Bricks ignored her, focusing solely on Jeremy. There have been incidents. Other lottery winners experiencing sudden personality changes, making large donations to mysterious off-world organizations. Jeremy's mind reeled. Could it be true? Had he been unknowingly manipulated this whole time? We're not here to cause trouble, Lola interjected. We're simply fulfilling our contract. Bricks raised an eyebrow. And what exactly does that contract entail? Care to enlighten us, Mr. Thompson? Jeremy flushed, remembering the previous night's activities. It's complicated. I'm sure it is, Brick said dryly. He stood, straightening his jacket. I'll be keeping a close eye on this situation, Mr. Thompson. I suggest you do the same. As the door closed behind the agent, an uncomfortable silence fell over the room. Jeremy turned to Sonny and Lola, searching their alien features for any sign of deceit. Is it true? Have you been controlling me somehow? Sanny's eyes widened. No, Master Jeremy, we would never. Then why all the secrecy? Jeremy demanded, anger and confusion bubbling up. What aren't you telling me? Lola stepped forward, placing a gentle hand on his arm. Please, understand. There are aspects of our mission that we are not at liberty to discuss, but I swear to you, our feelings are genuine. Jeremy jerked away from her touch. Your mission? What mission? The Xenosians exchanged a laden glance. Sonny sighed, her shoulders slumping. We cannot say more, but please, trust that we mean you no harm. Jeremy ran a hand through his hair, frustration mounting. How can I trust you when you won't be honest with me? For all I know, everything, all of this, he gestured between them, could be some kind of act. Hurt flashed across Lola's face. It's not an act, she said softly. What we share is real. Jeremy wanted desperately to believe her, but doubt had taken root, poisoning every interaction, every tender moment they'd shared. I need some air, he muttered, grabbing his coat. As he strode towards the door, Sonny called out, Master Jeremy, wait! He paused, hand on the doorknob. What? Sonny hesitated, glancing at Lola. We care for you, truly. Please be careful out there. Jeremy nodded curtly, unable to meet their eyes. Without another word, he stepped out into the bustling city, leaving behind a tangle of questions and conflicting emotions. As he walked, Jeremy's mind raced. Had he been a fool this whole time? Were Sonny and Lola simply using him for some nefarious purpose? Or were they telling the truth, bound by some greater mission, but genuinely caring for him? He found himself in a small park, collapsing onto a bench. A group of children played nearby, their laughter a stark contrast to his inner turmoil. An elderly couple strolled past, hands clasped together, stealing affectionate glances. Jeremy's chest tightened. He'd never felt so alone. A shadow fell across him. He looked up to see Mike, his former co-worker, standing there with a concerned expression. Thought that was you, Mike said, taking a seat beside him. You okay, man? You look like hell. Jeremy let out a humorless laugh. That obvious, huh? Mike's brow furrowed. It's those alien chicks, isn't it? I knew they were trouble. It's not that simple, Jeremy sighed. They haven't hurt me or anything. Maybe not physically, Mike countered, but mentally, emotionally? Who knows what kind of alien voodoo they're working on you? Jeremy bristled at the implication. Despite his doubts, he felt a surge of protectiveness toward Sonny and Lola. You don't know them. Mike held up his hands. Hey, I'm just looking out for you, buddy. But you gotta admit it's weird. Two smoking hot aliens show up out of nowhere, catering to your every whim. It's like something out of a bad sci-fi porno. Jeremy flinched at the crude description. It's more than that, he insisted, though his voice lacked conviction. Mike clapped him on the shoulder. Listen, some of us are getting together tonight at O'Malley's. Why don't you come? Get away from all this alien drama for a bit. Hang with some regular folks. Jeremy hesitated. The thought of facing Sonny and Lola right now was daunting. Maybe a night out would help clear his head. Yeah, all right, he agreed. I could use a drink. As the sun began to set, Jeremy found himself in a dimly lit bar, surrounded by the familiar faces of his old co-workers. The atmosphere was boisterous, filled with laughter and the clinking of glasses. For a moment, Jeremy felt normal again, just another guy having a beer with his friends. But as the night wore on, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. His companions' jokes seemed forced, their smiles a bit too wide. More than once he caught them exchanging furtive glances when they thought he wasn't looking. So, Jeremy, a woman he vaguely recognized from accounting, slid into the seat next to him. "Tell us about these alien babes of yours. They really as hot as the rumors say?" Jeremy shifted uncomfortably. "I'd rather not talk about that." "Aw, come on," another co-worker chimed in. "You gotta give us something. What's it like, with an alien?" The table erupted in raucous laughter. Jeremy's face burned. He stood abruptly, nearly knocking over his chair. "I need some air," he muttered, pushing through the crowd towards the exit. Outside, he leaned against the brick wall, gulping in the cool night air. What was wrong with him? These were his friends, weren't they? Why did he suddenly feel like a specimen under a microscope? A commotion from inside the bar caught his attention. Raised voices, the sound of breaking glass. Jeremy peered through the window, his blood running cold at the sight. A group of blue-skinned individuals, Xenosians, were surrounded by an angry mob. Fists flew, insults hurled like weapons. "Go back to your own planet. Alien scum. Stop stealing our jobs." Jeremy's heart raced. Without thinking, he burst back into the bar, pushing through the throng of bodies. "Stop!" he shouted, placing himself between the Xenosians and their attackers. "What the hell is wrong with you people?" Mike emerged from the crowd, his face twisted with disgust. "What's wrong with us? What's wrong with you, man? Can't you see these freaks are ruining everything?" Jeremy stared at his former friend, not recognizing the hatred in his eyes. In that moment, everything became crystal clear. He turned to the battered Xenosians. "Come on, let's get out of here." As they hurried down the street, leaving the sounds of the bar brawl behind, Jeremy's mind whirled. He'd been so caught up in his own doubts and insecurities, he'd failed to see the bigger picture. Whatever secrets Sani and Lola might be keeping, whatever their true purpose might be, they didn't deserve the vitriol and prejudice he'd just witnessed. Jeremy's pace quickened, a new resolve taking hold. He needed to get home. He needed to talk to Sani and Lola. It was time to uncover the truth, once and for all. Jeremy burst through the front door of his penthouse, heart pounding. The events at the bar had shaken him to his core, igniting a fierce protectiveness he'd never experienced before. "Sani! Lola!" he called out, voice echoing through the space. They appeared almost instantly, concern etched on their beautiful blue faces. "Master Jeremy," Sani breathed, taking in his disheveled appearance. "What's happened?" He recounted the night's events, watching their expressions shift from worry to anger to sorrow. "It's getting worse out there," he concluded. I'm sorry I ever doubted you." Lola stepped forward, placing a gentle hand on his cheek. "You have nothing to apologize for. We understand your hesitation." Jeremy leaned into her touch, savoring the coolness of her skin against his flushed face. "No more secrets," he said firmly. "I want to help you, but I need to know everything." Sani and Lola exchanged a loaded glance. After a moment, Sani nodded. "You're right," she said softly. "You deserve the truth. But perhaps we should all get comfortable first. This may take a while." As they settled onto the plush sofa, Jeremy couldn't help but notice how Sani and Lola positioned themselves on either side of him, their bodies angled towards his. He pushed away the distracting thoughts, focusing on the task at hand. "Start from the beginning," he urged. Lola took a deep breath. "Our planet, Xenos, is dying. Years of war and environmental destruction have left us on the brink of extinction. The Xenosian Maid program," Sani continued, "was created as a last-ditch effort to save our species. We hoped that by integrating with Earth society, we could find a solution. Jeremy frowned. But why the secrecy? Why not just ask for help openly? Fear, Lola said simply. Your Agent Bricks is not an isolated case. Many on Earth view us as a threat. If our true purpose was known, they'd think it was an invasion, Jeremy finished, understanding dawning. Sani nodded. Exactly. So we came in the guise of servitude, hoping to build trust and understanding between our peoples. Jeremy's mind raced, processing this new information. But there's more, isn't there? Something you're still not telling me. The Zenosians exchanged another loaded glance. Lola bit her lip, an oddly human gesture. Jeremy, what do you know about Zenosian biology? He blinked, thrown by the sudden change in topic. Not much. Blue skin, telepathic abilities. Our species is facing a critical shortage, Sani explained gently. All of our males were killed in the last Great War. We've been unable to produce offspring with humans thus far. Jeremy's eyes widened as understanding hit him like a freight train. You're here to see if we're compatible, Lola finished. Yes, it's our last hope for survival. Silence fell over the room as Jeremy grappled with this revelation. He stood abruptly, pacing the length of the living room. So everything, all of this, he gestured between them, it's just been about breeding? Pain flashed across both Zenosian faces. Sani rose, reaching out to him. No, Jeremy, it's so much more than that. Our feelings for you are real. He jerked away from her touch. How can I believe that? How do I know this isn't just some alien manipulation? Lola joined them, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. Because we've failed, Jeremy. Despite our best efforts, despite how much we've grown to care for you, we haven't been able to conceive. Jeremy's anger deflated, replaced by a confusing mix of relief and disappointment. He sank back onto the sofa, head in his hands. I need some time to process this, he muttered. Sani and Lola nodded, understanding in their eyes. Of course, Sani said softly. We'll give you space. As they retreated to their rooms, Jeremy was left alone with his tumultuous thoughts. Days passed in a haze of awkward interactions and loaded silences. Jeremy found himself both drawn to and repelled by Sani and Lola's presence. He'd catch himself staring at the graceful curve of Sani's neck, or the way Lola's eyes crinkled when she smiled. But then the doubt would creep in, poisoning every tender moment. Were their affectionate gestures genuine or carefully calculated moves in some cosmic chess game? One evening, as Jeremy nursed a glass of whiskey by the fireplace, a soft knock interrupted his brooding. Come in, he called, not bothering to turn around. Sani entered, her footsteps nearly silent on the plush carpet. I brought you some dinner, she said, placing a tray on the side table. You need to eat, Jeremy. He grunted in acknowledgement, eyes fixed on the dancing flames. Sani hesitated, then perched on the arm of his chair. I know you're angry with us, she began. You have every right to be. But please believe me when I say that our feelings for you are real. Jeremy finally turned to look at her, taking in the sincerity in her luminous eyes. How can I know that for sure? Sani's hand found his, her touch sending a familiar tingle through his body. Because if this were just about procreation, we would have moved on by now. The fact that we're still here, still trying to make this work, that has to count for something. Jeremy's resolve wavered. He wanted so badly to believe her. Before he could respond, Lola burst into the room, her face alight with excitement. I've got it, she exclaimed. I think I know why we haven't been successful. Sani and Jeremy exchanged a confused look. What are you talking about? Jeremy asked. Lola launched into a rapid-fire explanation, her words tumbling over each other in her enthusiasm. I've been researching human and Xenosian biology, looking for any compatibility issues, and I think I've found the key: pheromones. Jeremy blinked, struggling to follow. Pheromones? Yes. Lola nodded vigorously. Xenosians produce a unique pheromone that triggers our reproductive cycle, but humans don't have the receptors for it. If we could synthesize a human-compatible version. Sonny gasped, catching on. We might be able to conceive. Jeremy's head spun. This was all moving too fast. Wait, hold on. Are you saying you want to experiment on me? Lola's excitement dimmed slightly. It wouldn't be an experiment exactly, more like a treatment, completely safe, I assure you. Jeremy stood, putting some distance between himself and the eager Xenosians. I don't know about this. It's a lot to take in. Sonny approached him cautiously. We understand, Jeremy. We're not asking for an answer right now, just think about it. He nodded, not trusting himself to speak. As Sonny and Lola left him to his thoughts, Jeremy couldn't shake the feeling that he was standing on the precipice of something monumental. Weeks passed, and despite his lingering doubts, Jeremy found himself drawn back into Sonny and Lola's orbit. Their genuine care for him was evident in 1,000 small gestures. The way Sonny always knew exactly how he liked his coffee, or how Lola would leave funny notes around the apartment to make him smile. Slowly, tentatively, they rebuilt the trust that had been shaken. One night, as they sat around the dinner table, Jeremy made his decision. I'll do it, he said suddenly, breaking the comfortable silence. Sonny and Lola looked up from their meals, confusion evident on their faces. Do what? Lola asked. Jeremy took a deep breath. The pheromone treatment. I want to try. The Xenosian's eyes widened in surprise and hope. Are you sure? Sonny asked gently. We don't want you to feel pressured. Jeremy nodded, a small smile tugging at his lips. I'm sure. You two, you've become my family. If there's a chance we can save your people, I want to help. Tears welled up in Lola's eyes. She reached across the table, squeezing his hand. Thank you, Jeremy. You have no idea what this means to us. The next few days were a whirlwind of preparation. Lola threw herself into finalizing the pheromone formula, while Sonny fretted over Jeremy's health and comfort. Finally, the night arrived. Jeremy lay on his bed, heart pounding as Lola approached with a small vial of shimmering liquid. This might feel a bit intense, she warned. Are you ready? Jeremy nodded, steeling himself. Lola carefully applied a drop of the substance to his wrist. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, heat bloomed beneath his skin, racing through his veins like liquid fire. His senses sharpened, every nerve ending coming alive. He gasped, overwhelmed by the sudden onslaught of sensation. Sonny and Lola were at his side in an instant, their cool hands soothing against his feverish skin. It's okay, Sonny murmured. We've got you. What followed was a night of passion unlike anything Jeremy had ever experienced. The boundaries between their bodies seemed to blur, three becoming one in a symphony of pleasure and connection. As dawn broke, Jeremy lay sandwiched between Sonny and Lola, their limbs tangled together. A profound sense of peace washed over him. For the first time in his life, he felt truly complete, but their newfound happiness was short-lived. A week later, Jeremy was jolted awake by the sound of retching. He found Lola hunched over the toilet, her blue skin pale and clammy. Lola, he called softly, kneeling beside her. What's wrong? She looked up at him, eyes wide with a mix of fear and hope. Jeremy, she whispered, I think it worked. His jaw dropped. You mean? Lola nodded, a tentative smile spreading across her face. I'm pregnant. The news should have been cause for celebration. Instead, It brought a fresh wave of complications. Agent Bricks returned, this time with a team of stern-faced government officials. They demanded blood tests, DNA samples, endless invasive questions. "This is unprecedented," Bricks growled, pacing Jeremy's living room like a caged animal. "Do you have any idea of the potential consequences, the security risks?" Jeremy stood his ground, positioning himself protectively in front of Sonny and Lola. "The only risk here is to their privacy. They've done nothing wrong." Bricks sneered. "That remains to be seen. This offspring could be a threat to national security. We'll need to take the Xenosian into custody for observation." "Like hell you will," Jeremy snarled, surprising himself with the vehemence in his voice. The confrontation escalated, voices rising. Just as it seemed violence might erupt, Sonny's voice cut through the chaos. "Stop!" she cried out. All eyes turned to her. "There's something you need to know." Jeremy frowned. "Sonny, what?" She silenced him with a look, then turned to address the room. "The child Lola carries, it's not just a hybrid. It's the key to saving both our worlds." Silence fell as the weight of her words sank in. Jeremy's mind reeled. What new secret had they been keeping? Sonny took a deep breath, steeling herself. "There's a reason our people have been unable to reproduce with humans until now. A cosmic safeguard, if you will. It was waiting for the right combination, a perfect genetic match that could unlock the next stage of evolution for both our species." Bricks scoffed. "That's ridiculous. You expect us to believe—" "It's true," Lola interjected, her hand resting protectively over her still flat stomach. "The child I carry possesses unique genetic markers that could hold the key to curing diseases, reversing environmental damage, even unlocking new cognitive abilities in both humans and Xenosians." Jeremy's head spun. He turned to Sonny and Lola, a mix of emotions warring within him. "Why didn't you tell me?" Lola's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. "We weren't certain until now, and we were afraid. Afraid of how you'd react, afraid of what it might mean for all of us." The room erupted into chaos once more, government officials arguing amongst themselves, Bricks shouting orders into his communicator. Jeremy tuned it all out, focusing solely on the two women who had become his world. He took their hands in his, marveling at how right it felt, the contrast of their blue skin against his. "Whatever happens," he said softly, but with conviction, "we face it together, all of us." Sonny and Lola's eyes shone with love and gratitude. As the storm raged around them, Jeremy knew with absolute certainty that he'd made the right choice. This unusual family, born of chance and cosmic design, was worth fighting for. Little did they know, the true battle was only just beginning. The chaos in Jeremy's penthouse subsided, leaving behind a tense quiet. Agent Bricks and his team had retreated, but their threats lingered in the air. Jeremy stood at the window, watching the city lights flicker below, his mind a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. Sandy approached, her reflection joining his in the glass. "What are you thinking?" she asked softly. Jeremy sighed, running a hand through his disheveled hair. "I'm thinking that my life was a lot simpler before I won that damn lottery." A hint of a smile played at Sonny's lips. "Simpler, perhaps, but better?" He turned to face her, taking in her ethereal beauty. Even now, with the weight of two worlds on their shoulders, she took his breath away. "No," he admitted, "not better." Lola joined them, her hand resting protectively over her stomach. "We understand if this is too much, Jeremy. We never meant for you to bear such a burden." Jeremy's gaze softened as he looked at Lola, marveling at the miracle growing within her. His child, their child, a beacon of hope for two civilizations. "It's not a burden," he said firmly. "It's a responsibility, one I choose to accept." Relief and love shone in the Zenosian's eyes. Sani reached out, intertwining her fingers with his. "So what do we do now?" Jeremy squared his shoulders, a plan forming in his mind. "Now we fight back, on our terms." The next few weeks were a blur of activity. Jeremy leveraged his newfound wealth and connections, hiring the best lawyers and PR firms money could buy. They launched a media campaign, sharing their story with the world. It wasn't easy. For every person moved by their plight, another reacted with fear and hatred. Protesters gathered outside their building, waving signs with hateful slogans. Death threats poured in, but they persevered. Lola's pregnancy progressed, each checkup revealing new marvels about their hybrid child. Its DNA was a perfect fusion of human and Zenosian genetics, unlocking potential neither species had dreamed possible. As her belly swelled, so did the public's curiosity. Scientists clamored for access, seeing the potential for groundbreaking discoveries. Governments debated the implications, torn between fear and the promise of unprecedented advancements. Through it all, Jeremy stood as a shield for his unusual family, facing down reporters and officials with unwavering determination. "This child is not a threat," he declared at a press conference, Sani and Lola flanking him. "It's a bridge between our worlds, a symbol of what we can achieve when we come together instead of pushing each other apart." His words struck a chord. Slowly, public opinion began to shift, but not everyone was convinced. Late one night, as Jeremy dozed on the couch, a crash jolted him awake. He leapt to his feet, heart pounding. "Sani? Lola?" he called out. No answer. He crept down the hallway, every sense on high alert. As he neared the bedroom, he heard muffled sounds of struggle. Jeremy burst through the door to find a nightmarish scene. Masked intruders grappled with Sani and Lola, trying to subdue them. One held a syringe, poised to plunge it into Lola's swollen belly. Without thinking, Jeremy launched himself at the attacker. They crashed to the floor in a tangle of limbs. He felt a sharp pain in his arm, the syringe. The world began to spin. As darkness closed in, the last thing Jeremy saw was a flash of blue as Sani unleashed her full Zenosian strength on their assailants. He awoke in a sterile hospital room, the steady beep of monitors filling the air. Sani and Lola sat beside his bed, their faces etched with worry and exhaustion. "What happened?" Jeremy croaked, his throat dry. Lola squeezed his hand. "You saved us." The intruders were part of an anti-alien extremist group. They wanted to terminate the pregnancy. Rage boiled in Jeremy's veins. "Are you both okay? The baby?" Sani nodded, a tired smile gracing her features. "We're fine, thanks to you. The baby is perfectly healthy." Relief flooded through him, followed quickly by determination. "This ends now," he growled, struggling to sit up. "No more hiding, no more letting them dictate the terms. It's time we take control of our own story." And so they did. In a move that shocked the world, Jeremy, Sani, and Lola went public with everything. They revealed the full truth about Xenos, about the hybrid child's potential, about their unconventional love. It was a gamble, but one that paid off. Their honesty and vulnerability touched hearts across the globe. Support poured in from unexpected quarters. Scientists offered their expertise to help unlock the child's genetic secrets. World leaders, seeing the potential for unprecedented advancements, pledged their protection. Even Agent Bricks, grudgingly impressed by their courage, became an unlikely ally. As Lola's due date approached, excitement built to a fever pitch. The birth of the first human Zenosian hybrid became a global event, celebrated by millions. When the moment finally arrived, it was both ordinary and extraordinary. Lola's labor lasted 18 hours, her cries of pain punctuated by strings of Zenosian curses that made even the seasoned doctors blush. Jeremy and Sonny never left her side, offering strength and comfort. And then, with one final push, a new chapter in human and Xenosian history began. The child, a girl they named Aurora, entered the world with a lusty cry. Her skin was a pale lavender with swirls of iridescence that shimmered in the light. A tuft of silvery hair crowned her perfect head. As Jeremy cradled his daughter for the first time, he was overwhelmed by a love so fierce it took his breath away. Sonny and Lola crowded close, their family finally complete. "She's beautiful," Sonny whispered, tears streaming down her blue cheeks. Lola nodded, exhausted but radiant. "And she's going to change everything." She was right. As Aurora grew, her unique gifts became apparent. By 6 months, she was speaking in full sentences, in both English and Xenosian. At a year, she was solving complex mathematical equations. Her empathic abilities far surpassed even the most talented Xenosian, allowing her to connect with others on a profound level. But more than her intellectual and psychic gifts, it was Aurora's innate ability to bridge the gap between humans and Xenosians that proved truly revolutionary. Her mere presence seemed to break down barriers of prejudice and fear. Those who met her couldn't help but be charmed by her infectious laugh and boundless curiosity. As word of Aurora's abilities spread, more human Xenosian couples came forward. A new generation of hybrid children emerged, each one a unique blend of both species' best traits. 5 years after Aurora's birth, Jeremy stood on the balcony of their home on Xenos, watching the twin suns set in a blaze of color. So much had changed in such a short time. The dying planet was now teeming with new life. Xenosian technology, combined with human ingenuity and the hybrid children's unique insights, had reversed centuries of environmental damage. Earth, too, had been transformed. Diseases once thought incurable were now easily treatable. Clean energy powered cities across the globe. The hybrid children's enhanced cognitive abilities had ushered in a new era of scientific and artistic achievement. Jeremy felt a familiar presence behind him. He turned to see Sonny and Lola, each holding the hand of one of their younger children. Aurora, now a precocious 5-year-old, led the way, her siblings trailing behind like ducklings. "Daddy," she exclaimed, launching herself into his arms. "Guess what I learned today?" Jeremy laughed, swinging her around. "What's that, sweetheart?" Aurora's eyes sparkled with excitement. "I figured out how to telepathically communicate with plants. Can you believe it? Think of the agricultural applications." He shook his head in amazement. Even after all this time, his children never ceased to surprise him. As the family gathered on the balcony, watching the stars emerge in the alien sky, Jeremy was struck by a profound sense of contentment. Their path hadn't been easy. There had been moments of fear, of doubt, of near catastrophe. But looking at his beautiful, unconventional family, 6 brilliant children, 2 loving wives from another world, he knew he'd make the same choice 1,000 times over. Sonny leaned into his side, her cool skin a familiar comfort. "What are you thinking about?" she asked, echoing a question from years ago. Jeremy smiled, pulling her close. "I'm thinking that I'm the luckiest man in 2 worlds." Lola joined them, completing their circle. "I'd say we're all pretty lucky," she murmured. As they stood there, bathed in the soft light of an alien twilight, Jeremy marveled at the journey that had brought them to this moment. From a lonely office worker to the patriarch of a family that had changed the course of 2 civilizations, all because he'd taken a chance on love, a love that transcended species, planets, and the very stars themselves. Aurora tugged at his sleeve, breaking his reverie. "Dad," she said, her young face serious, "I've been thinking about the future, about our place in the universe." Jeremy knelt down, meeting his daughter's gaze. "What about it, sweetheart?" She gestured to the star-filled sky. "There's so much out there, so many possibilities. I think, I think we're just the beginning. Humans, Xenosians, hybrids, we're meant for something greater, together." Jeremy felt a swell of pride and awe. He looked at Sonny and Lola, seeing his own emotions reflected in their eyes. "I think you're right," he said softly. "And whatever comes next, we'll face it as a family." As if on cue, a shooting star blazed across the sky. Aurora gasped in delight, her siblings oohing and ahhing. "Make a wish," Lola urged, a smile playing at her lips. Jeremy closed his eyes, but found he had nothing to wish for. Everything he could ever want was right here, in this moment. He opened his eyes to find his entire family watching him expectantly. "Well," Sandy prompted, "what did you wish for?" Jeremy grinned, gathering them all into a group hug. "Just this," he said. "Just us, forever." And as they stood there, wrapped in each other's arms under an alien sky, Jeremy knew that no matter what challenges the future held, they would face them together, a family united by love, bound by shared dreams, and destined to leave an indelible mark on the cosmos. The end was just the beginning. Well, dear listeners, you've just witnessed a tale that's part cosmic soap opera, part intergalactic rom-com, with a dash of How I Met Your Blue-Skinned Mothers thrown in for good measure. If you're feeling a bit shell-shocked, don't worry. Jeremy's still trying to wrap his head around it too. But here's the thing. In a universe vast enough to contain both Brooklyn dive bars and telepathic alien supermodels, who are we to say what's truly strange? Maybe the weirdest part of this story isn't the blue skin or the hybrid superbabies, but the idea that love, in all its messy, complicated, occasionally three-person glory, might just be the most powerful force in any galaxy. So the next time you're swiping through your dating app, maybe don't be so quick to dismiss that profile that says, "Must love tentacles." After all, your soulmate might be closer than you think, even if they're a few light years away. And before we wrap this up, I want to take a moment to thank each and every one of you. I truly value every view, every comment, and every like. It means the world to me that you, just like me, find joy and excitement in these stories. Your support, your engagement, it all fuels the passion that drives this channel, and I'm incredibly grateful from the bottom of my heart. You all make this journey worth it, and together, we're creating something special. Thank you, and stay tuned for more tales from across the stars.